What trips people up is to try to change too dramatically at once. Ultimately, a better path. It's like New Year's increments. The groove is super important, and in some ways, doing a thing every week is easier than doing it twice a month.
I just like talking to people about that process because in my entire life, I've never been able to do that. And I'm so happy to have a platform where I can do that.
Do it badly and then do it better. That was the exact path that you did on this streaming thing. If you like doing something badly, guess what? You just found something that you like doing.
You just have to do the thing. That is the number one hurdle in this entire sector of creative stuff, and especially YouTube. Stop thinking and just do a thing.
Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown, the home of Make Something Mean Something. It is Tuesday, TCUsday. We are here live on Discord. I am Kevin Lieber. With me, as always, is Matthew Tabor.
Yeah, I want to get something out of the way right up front. A little congratulations to Kevin Lieber of the Create Unknown and Vsauce 2 for hitting 750 million views on the YouTubes. You hit 750 mil. Did you even notice that?
No, you would think that YouTube would send you like an email or something, or a notification in the creator studio of milestones like that, but they don't seem to.
Yeah. No. And I think the milestones should be, like 100, 500, 1,000, 5,000, whatever. Once you hit 500,000 or 500 million, I think the next logical milestone is 750, because then you could be like, all right, you're halfway to closing the gap to 1 billion, like onward to 1 billion. That's really all you can say at that point, because like, what are you going to get? Like an 875 million? No, this is stupid. No, you get one shot between 500 million and 1 billion, and it's recognizing the halfway point. But yeah, you made it. You're on the other side of that. It's like the ant on a rope thing, where now you're coming into the other end of the rope.
And just like the ant on the rope, I will die long before I reach the end of the rope. It's so funny thinking like, oh, only 250 million more views to get to 1 billion. But
you just need a couple shorts to blow up.
Yeah.
You just got to have them bang and pull like 150 million views on one short, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah, something involving me getting hit in the balls, I think, would help a lot. if we could sort of manufacture that, figure something out there. But speaking of milestones and goals and plans, I really wanted to take the time here, since we're on the other side of the holiday and the new year, to talk about the new year, to talk about 2023. What are the goals? What are the plans? I think that this is a natural point for everyone and anyone to think about doing a little bit of a reset or reconfiguration of what it is that they're doing. Not necessarily a New Year's resolution, but more like a New Year's GRINDolution. Like what's next?
GRINDolution.
What is our New Year's GRINDolution?
Are you, before we do that, are you somebody who does the annual review? Do you sit down and analyze the state of the Lieber right around the beginning of the new year and come up with goals and resolutions and things like that? Do you do that?
Not resolutions, but certainly I think it's a time to rethink what's going on on the treadmill, because it's so hard. Yeah. You're not going to do that in like October. You're not going to come up with like a new plan.
Personal review.
It's not going to happen. And I think anyone who listens, who is full time living the grind, whatever their grind is, knows that once you're sort of locked into that, it's pretty hard to take a step back arbitrarily and reassess. I think this is a non-arbitrary moment to reassess. It's sort of like a collectively understood moment that we all set aside to say, hey, some people say, hey, maybe I should quit smoking, or hey, maybe I should, lose 10 pounds. I say, hey, maybe I should do more this year, or do some things different or more efficiently, or expand in certain areas. I don't know, but this is the designated time for that. So
it is.
Let's do it.
And I will say that resolution, I've never quite been comfortable with that, because resolute is as strong as it gets. Like, that's asking a lot of me to be resolute about something, as opposed to like, let's just suggest something that might be pretty good. You should do that. That's very different than having to be resolute. Like, back off a little bit. Just let me live my life and I'll do a little bit better. So I do like thinking a little bit about it without the weird pressure of being resolute.
Well, that's interesting, because I sort of see it two different ways there. In one instance, I could see how you have to change dramatically. You have to be resolute about it, or else you won't change dramatically.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think what trips people up, because this is almost always the wrong way to do it, is to try to change too dramatically at once, to the point in which you have to be resolute about it. And then a month later, you're like, I don't want to go to the gym anymore, so I'm not going to. So you're right, though. I think that ultimately a better path, I don't know what the word is, but it's like increment. It's like New Year's increments. What are my New Year's increments that I could do each day that will add up to something by the end of the year?
Well, what's your start on this? Do you have a big one, or do you have a bunch of little ones?
Oh man, I think I'm a little all over the place, which is probably partly a bad thing, but maybe partly a good thing, because maybe
a good thing. Yeah.
If you shoot your shot a little wide, something will hit the target. So I have one that I've already been doing, so it's not much of a increment or a resolution. It's more just a reminder to stay on track, and that has to do with the cartoons that I've been drawing. I've been really trying to do one a week. It doesn't matter, so far it hasn't mattered at least what day it is. It's not like I have to say, okay, every Monday night I'm going to sit down and I'm going to draw a new cartoon. Maybe it happens Sunday morning, but I have been trying to hit one of those per week. And I think I think that this might be helpful for people, is that I think if you want to do something, you probably should be doing it at least once a week. And if you're slipping on that seems like a problem. If you can't manage the one a week, that's bad. I think. Obviously, there's room for error there. It depends on what it is. But what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's right, where you have to have some level of frequency. I mean, some things I'm sure you can't do, like it's just not possible to do them with real frequency. I don't know. I can't think of a specific example right now, but it's just something like so big, or maybe you have to travel to do it, or, something where it's like it has to be monthly. So I'm sure those things exist. But think back to when we started the podcast and we were releasing every 2 weeks. Didn't that seem like an eternity between episodes? It was crazy. And we would do batch recording. We'd record a few, and then, a month later do like the next 3-4 episodes, something like that. And it was hard to get into a groove with that, because it just the frequency wasn't there. And now look at how easy it is. Today we had to bump this up by several hours. We did that on half an hour's notice, and it was no big deal to transition into that, because it's just part of our week, and we don't have to really go out of our way to make it happen, because we're just doing it all the time. So that frequency helps a lot. And I think that's important to factor in, that you have to do something often enough for it to be an easy habit, but not so often that it's overwhelming. If you tried to force yourself to draw a cartoon a day, there are going to be days that are just bonkers. They're going to be crazy. And maybe there's just a day where you don't have an idea that's good enough, that you don't like one enough. And so it's not feasible that you would be able to pound out every single day. So that one is an overwhelming level of frequency. But if it was one cartoon a month, it's like, you're not even going to remember, and like when the first week of the month rolls around, you're like, well, I've got all month to do this, and you're not going to get it done. So yeah, there's definitely a balance on size and frequency.
Yeah. Two things came to mind when you were discussing this. One is that you're right. The groove is super important. The groove is really important, and in some ways, doing a thing every week is easier than doing it twice a month, which sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. It's like making it a regular part of your life actually makes it fit into your life a lot easier than irregularity, which then makes it seem like something you have to remember, or, did I do it yet? Or that I could even get more specific with this in regards to the podcast. When we used to do random days of the week, we would do it every week, but we would choose a different day. That was really hard and annoying.
Oh, yeah.
That sucked a lot.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden, Matt and I, it would be Friday and we hadn't recorded a podcast yet. And we're like, oh gosh, we have to record a podcast this week. I guess we'll do it Sunday, maybe. I don't know.
That's right,
and just eventually saying like, look, we're just going to do it on Tuesdays and that's the end of it. Well, guess what? That made everything a lot easier because then you can schedule around it. You can look forward to it. Once you have recorded the podcast that you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the week. So yeah, that regularity is really important. And the other thing that I thought of has to do with your rule of you are what you do. And I think that there is a balance here between it not even really being a thing that you do if you don't do it with any regularity. Like, is it? It's like if it's a thing that you do every now and then, is it really? Does it become
part of you?
Yeah, is it part of you, or is it just like an afterthought?
Yeah, and there's an extension of that too. You need to set yourself up to win with frequency, to feel good about things with frequency. And if you do something that's once a month, you're literally depriving yourself of feeling good. If there's something that is, let's say, weekly, you get it done, you're like, yeah, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That's part of me. I feel good about having accomplished that. And you have a solid 50 little wins a year where you've advanced a thing, accomplished something. You get to feel good about you and your life. If you can come up with a manageable everyday thing, like there's little stuff that, like the way people start their day, that's like, I'm going to just eat well every morning when I wake up. Like, that's not impossible to do. Well, you've given yourself something to feel good about every single day. That's awesome. But yeah, if you do every 2, 3, 4 weeks, you just don't get to feel good very often. So it's all the stuff we just talked about, plus you miss out on what is really the best part of the whole thing, the feeling of accomplishment and doing what you set out to do. It's awesome. So if you come up with a balance of frequency, the balance of size so it's not overwhelming, and then recognize that you're pulling it off, that's kind of all of it. That's just about everything.
Yeah, and another thing that comes through this that I want to mention is that if you do set some sort of frequency goal for yourself, whether it's to do the thing that you want to do, and it doesn't have to be something creative. It could be like working on some project. If you have like a car that you work on, doing that with regularity, whatever it is. But what I wanted to say is that if you do set some sort and stick to some sort of reasonably achievable goal for whatever your project is, you will get comfortable with putting, this is going to sound weird, but you'll get comfortable with putting out work that you don't think is your best. Like maybe you put out a clunker. But what you learn from that is that you never know what people will respond to. So you might put something out, whether it's a YouTube video or a song or whatever it is, a drawing that you're not super happy with, and it might be the most popular thing you've ever done. You have no sense of it's impossible Anybody who does this with any regularity will tell you, you never know what people are going to like.
No, you never know. And it's the best place to see that is Twitter, because you tweet a lot, like everybody tweets with some frequency, and you truly never know what's going to blow up. Like the number one tweet I've ever had was faking having a poop glove. So I don't know how much I've talked about this on the podcast, but I had these gloves that are cut resistant gloves, and they're kind of silverish gray. I use them when I slice meat on the meat slicer, and I was slicing like a honey glazed ham. So the gloves got completely covered with this, brown glaze, and I put them next to the washing machine for when I was going to wash clothes next. And that's in the bathroom. And I looked over, I'm like, if somebody stopped by my house and didn't know anything, they were like, oh, can I use your bathroom? And they went in there, they would absolutely think that this glove was like the wiping glove. And I started laughing really hard, and so I took a picture of it and made
the
a
wiping
tweet.
Glove sound. The wiping glove sounds like it sounds like a book. It sounds like some sort of like YA fantasy novel. The wiping glove. It's like Percy Jackson and the wiping glove.
Harry Potter and the wiping glove of secrets. Those are secrets you don't want to know. But yeah, so I tweeted a picture of that and made up some stupid caption like, if you really care about the environment, you'll stop using toilet paper and you'll use a reusable poop glove, like that blew up. Then the other day, like I made a joke that was objectively funny. I'm comfortable saying that my own joke was funny about the one about the Switch. Like I said, I got a Switch for Christmas. It wasn't as fun as you guys made it sound because my mom made me go cut it. So this is like the old, like, cut a Switch to be beaten with versus obviously Nintendo Switch. That's really funny. That's like objectively better content than the poop glove, but it got like 7 likes. Nobody cares about that one. And if I had to rank the two, I'm going with the Switch joke. No, poop glove banged. And it's like that with YouTube videos too. How many amazing ideas have we had where like, this is one of the best in a very long time, and you release it and it's like, 5 out of 10. And then there's some short that seems like almost a throwaway. And, it pops 1 million views in 3 days. Who knows? You're 100% right, though. When you do something with any kind of volume, any kind of frequency, you realize 2 things. The part that you said, where you really don't truly know how people are going to respond, for better and worse, which means you don't put a lot of effort into guessing about it. Eventually, you realize, like, I'm going to try my thing, throw my pitch, and then we'll see what happens then. And the other part is that it's totally okay that not every single thing you do is the very best ever. If you're doing 1 cartoon a week, that's about 50 a year. I don't know. Let's just bell curve it and say that 10 are really good, 30 are good, and then 10 are like, they're not as good. They're the bottom 10. It's just going to break down that way, and you're not going to feel bad about it. You'll look back and realize some are better than others. You'll be like, okay, you'll just plow on and try to make the next one great and do that over and over again. Yeah.
And that's the point, is that, you get comfortable with things that you make that you think are great that other people aren't interested in, and vice versa. But either way, you are on that, you make, or what is it? You are what you do path. So
you're what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know what you've been sipping, but you've got it all wrong. It's time to commit to the leaf. We've embraced the smoothness and surprising pick-me-up that tea provides. I literally drink it all day long, nearly a gallon a day, and it powers me through research, script writing, and forums on websites that I refuse to name here. But we don't drink normie NPC tea. We drink cultured and refined anime tea from the Dragon's Treasure. Kevin still likes the gunpowder green called Space Cowboy, and I've sampled nearly 40 Dragon's Treasure teas at this point. Lately, I've been slamming black teas like Kentucky Bourbon and liquefied Berserk Despair. Scottish Breakfast is deep and peaty, and I smooth it over with Sebastian's Morning Earl Grey, which has the best vanilla cream taste I think I've ever had in a cup. Give me a pot of that with a hot meatball sub from Sal's Pizza and Brooks Barbecue Chicken to wash down my last meal on death row. I highly recommend the sampler packs. You'll want to try everything just like I did. I literally have not had one tea that I wouldn't be happy to reorder. The Dragon's Wings membership fuels new tea experimentation, and the Tea of the Month Club provides a regularly scheduled surprise. And when you order from the Dragon's Treasure using code CREATE, you'll get 10% off your order. That's 10% off using the code CREATE at thedragonstreasure.com. The link's in the description. So we've got you with a cartoon a week. What's your next one?
Yeah. Oh, and if you want to, and I do post those on Instagram and Twitter, both of my personal Instagram and personal Twitter, not on Vsauce too. So that's, just kind of like, well, here's the other thing that I really wanted to say. You know, you and I, for the last month or so, have been discussing and really trying to motivate people to do things. Well, part of this podcast is going to be us, like, not, writing checks that we can't cash. I want to talk about the stuff that not only everybody listening knows what we already do with this podcast every week, and as well as everything with Vsauce too. Well, that's not enough because I have plans to do much more this year. You have plans to expand and do more. So rather than, I don't want the last month of podcast to be taken as us pontificating on what others should be doing. Well, here we're going to talk about what we're doing and what we plan on doing more of. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and excuse me. That's really where these topics are coming from. It's from us talking about what we ourselves are going to do and want to do and are doing. And that's really where it started a couple weeks ago, is we were having these conversations. We're like, no, there's no reason to do this privately, because this is an important part of how everything works here. Like, this is part of the process. It might be the most important part of the process. So, no, we're opening the door so people can peek in like creeps. We're not going door to door and telling you what to do. It's not that at all. We just want people to witness the process.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm really looking forward to doing this year is more on Vsauce 2. And there really was more on Vsauce 2 in 2022 by expanding onto other platforms. So it is more likely than not, most people don't realize this because people really kind of have their favorite platforms for the most part, and they stick to it. If you are one of very few people that uses all of them, you may have noticed a whole lot more Vsauce 2 on a whole lot more platforms. And that really started in 2022 with
a big shift.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't do it by myself. I hired a couple of people because I took it as a priority. I realized that one thing that I don't think that most people realize, even people who are full-time creators, is that different audiences are on different platforms. That's just how it is. When you and I were growing up on the internet, but seriously, like, everybody was on everything probably 10 to 5-ish years ago. I think in the last 5 years, It's gotten way more niche, where it's like, okay, there are TikTok people, and there are Instagram people, and there are Facebook people, and there are Snapchat people, and there are YouTube people, and there are Twitter people, and these are not the same person.
No, 10 years ago, you were on Facebook, Twitter, or both. That's kind of all there was of significance. And now it's like streaming services. Like, if you subscribe to everything, how many would that be? I subscribe to like 9 because I kind of have to. I have to, keep up with enough things.
I think there are 16 major ones. I think there are 16 major ones. Yeah.
That sounds right. 16 sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, so that was part of 2022 was first of all recognizing the fact that there are different people on all these platforms. And let me give you an example. Here's a concrete example of what I'm talking about. Last week, someone left a comment on Instagram that essentially begging me to come back to YouTube. And I'm like, dude, like there has been hours and hours of new Vsauce 2 YouTube content in the past year, between like the 40 plus original shorts and the 10 or so long form videos. That's a whole lot of Vsauce 2 to catch up on. But it just illustrates the fact that people are siloed. They are not everywhere. So Vsauce 2 now is everywhere for all of those different people. And with
That's a big deal.
With regularly uploaded videos across all platforms that I listed: Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook Reels, Instagram Reels, and then obviously YouTube. But what's next? Well, I'm not going to reveal what's next on this podcast. We will do a separate podcast in the coming weeks to announce what's next. But what I will say is that you will see more Vsauce 2 on YouTube in 2023 than you have in the past several years, for sure. And that's going to
sounds right to me.
It's going to take, a lot of work on my end to set up, infrastructure to allow that to happen. But I've already planted the seeds for that, and the ball is starting to roll. It's not really rolling downhill yet, but I've nudged the ball, and I'm really excited for that. I think people will be equally excited. I hope so, at least. But yeah, you can expect more content with more frequency on Vsauce 2 this year.
The chat has called you a professional ball nudger. I like that. I think that should, if you should go into your LinkedIn account, and I think you can set a job title, any job title you want. Yours should be professional ball nudger.
You don't think anyone will take that?
No.
Like in a weird way? No.
Not at all.
Not
and
at all. Okay.
You can start DMing people, offering to help, and be like, hey, do you need your balls nudged? And we just wait and see what happens.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sure I'll get a lot of attention
Let's nudge some balls in this world. That's what
year.
2023 is about, is ball nudging.
Yeah. Yeah. So to recap so far, a cartoon every week from me. Also, I don't know if people want to buy these drawings, but I might look into some easy way for that as well. Because right now the drawings that I do, I just have a pile of them in my office. So if anyone is interested in purchasing them to frame or whatever, I might figure out a way to easily do that. I just can't like send them to people all, every week. Because that would take a lot of time, but I don't know. That's in the back of my mind, not in the front. There are other things that I need to do before then, but I wanted to throw that out there as well as something that I have been thinking about.
I like it. So you've got the personal thing on cartoons. You've got the professional thing on the aggressive ball nudging of Vsauce 2. Which truly, like, I'm glad that you detailed being on all those other platforms, because it is impossible to know. Even I don't get those notifications or like indications of the Vsauce 2 presence on all those apps. And you'd think that all the cookies and every bit of information they have about me, I have probably the greatest Vsauce 2 profile in the world next to you, in terms of being recommended that content, from the sheer volume of me loading the things up. And I don't get it on most of those platforms. So imagine regular subscribers, it's a totally different audience. So I think very few people realize how much stronger your presence is on, like you said, Instagram, TikTok, and also adding shorts in on the YouTube side. That was a big part of 2022 as well. Mm-hmm. So having that roll into even more content this year is a really ambitious thing. But from the little bit you've shared with me about it, I don't think it's like ambitious to a fault. It's really just an extension of all this, and it makes a lot of sense. So it's achievable, it's manageable. I like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's 2 things down, and in the domain of YouTube videos and in the domain of drawing. So now I want to throw it to you, because you have been doing something that I don't do ever, and have never once done in my entire life, which is streaming on Twitch.
That's right. I mean, we did some streams early on here. Do you remember we had that service that Patreon recommended, where we had a couple streams where we did like the serial tiers and stuff like that? But that wasn't standard Twitch streaming. Yeah, I've been doing a fair bit of it, and I have it in about, I don't know, maybe 10 days. A couple days before Christmas was the last time I did one, because the audio wasn't 11 days, Conrad says. Yeah, that sounds right. You know, I had a really like slapdash quick setup on things, and it was pretty janky in the back room. And so I'm going to make this room sound much larger than it is, but here's what happens. Kevin can verify this. You walk through my kitchen and go into a door. To the left is the general store. This is the huge stockpile of all things food and drink. If you go to the right, that's the workshop. There's an 8-foot bench with pegboard with tools and all those things. If you take a hard right, then there's another bench that is the armory, where I work on various firearms and antique things. So I've been streaming there just when I work on stuff. I'll pop the camera on and talk to people, and I really enjoy it because it's oddly solitary to work on stuff. Like, you don't think about what you're doing when you do it. So here's an example. I recently took a gun barrel. I took it. It hurts to even talk about. I took it out of the case to use the case for something else, and it was completely 100% covered in rust. I don't know how this happened. Nothing else there has any oxidation. It's like somebody pranked me. Like somebody came in and like squirted this thing down with water and left it for a year. I have no idea how this happened, but that's a big project, that kind of rust removal. So as I'm doing it, I'm using certain solvents that I think are effective, using a bronze brush to scrub. And that's important, because bronze is strong enough to take the rust off, but not so strong that it takes the bluing finish off the metal. And that's the kind of thing that, somebody would think like, why don't you use steel wool? Well, that would work on the rust, but that would also take the finish off. So you don't think about these things as you do them. You know them and you do them. But if I'm streaming, then I can talk about that and be like, here's why I'm using a bronze brush. Here's why I'm using bronze wool. It also is really useful in maritime applications, because the little fibers from it don't rust when they're left over. And on a boat, it's always wet or extremely humid. And that's prone to rusting when you use steel wool. So, talking about that stuff I really enjoy it. And I'm so happy to have a platform where I can do that, and it kind of forces me to do projects too. Not that I need to put a gun to my head for it. I obviously like them all, but I loved it. And so, yeah, as Conrad said 11 days ago, at that point, I thought, I've done 25 hours in the last month, 10, 11 streams. I enjoy this. It's working. I'm going to keep going. I need to upgrade the setup a little bit. So I took the Christmas break to switch from my notebook to a tiny computer and put a monitor up and got a real mic, just all the things that make it a real setup. And I'm really happy about the prospect of continuing that through the year. Like, every night I want to stream. Like, I really, truly do. I want to take a couple hours and do something back there, whether it's something like I described, or the people who saw me work on the leather baseball glove. I was dealing with some leather gloves from the very late 40s. And they got a treat when a bottle of neat's foot oil exploded and drenched my MacBook and face. I'm still paying the price on that. But it kind of could be anything that I want to work on. And I just like talking to people about that process because in my entire life, I've never been able to do that. You do the thing, you sit down, you work, but you don't ever talk about what you're doing because there's nobody to talk to. And even if somebody was there, you're not like giving them the play-by-play on.
It'd be weird.
Yeah. Unless it's like an apprenticeship situation. Mm-hmm. So it's a unique thing, and I like it. I like it a lot. And I'm glad to get that set up where it is set up now. Got all the things that I needed there right when the calendar flipped over. I was pumped about that because I did look at it on that arbitrary calendar bit. Just be like, all right, I'm going into the new year now with a proper setup on a thing I like doing.
And there was a recent milestone on that, wasn't there? What was the milestone that you hit on the Twitch account? Was it hours streamed or subscribers, or how does it work? What was it?
Yeah, we just satisfied the affiliate requirements, which is, a certain number of streams and hours and followers and concurrent viewers. It's, it's not an incredibly high bar, but it's a bar. It's great. And the next one to partner is quite a bit tougher. But it was nice to put that together and get enough streams in to satisfy those requirements. So yeah, now we've pulled in 2 cents in advertising revenue. Ooh. Which, yeah, the exciting thing here is that because it's 2 cents, that means that we split it. I did it in the Create Unknown, set it up with the business. So you have earned your 1 cent, your 50-50 cut of the 2 cents that we've earned.
Yeah. That's why
it's great, though. I love it.
Everything I just said is a total fabrication. I'm actually retiring in 2023.
On your penny.
I'm done.
On your penny, which due to inflation is worth 0.4 cents since it dropped into our account.
Yeah.
No, it's also substantially different than what I do during the day. It's like Kevin talking about the cartoons. I don't spend my days on wood, metal, and leather. I just don't. And so I get to do something that is different but plays off of it. So like the streaming and talking side, I do a bit of that, but it's in a realm that is different, and I like that. It's the equivalent of my cartoons.
Yeah, it's a good change of pace, and I have extracted 2 things out of your streaming endeavors. One is that it ties into what I was saying earlier about setting some sort of benchmark. Like I said, one cartoon a week. I should be able to manage that. For you, doing the streaming gives you an extra, not only motivation or reason or like impulse to work on the various projects that you have, but it almost gives you also an extra reward for that because you do enjoy doing it. So it's a really nice kind of like layered thing in which like almost adding responsibility to yourself in some way makes it more fun to do. It makes it more, it's like something to look forward to then.
It is at no point, and I know that I'm not some grizzled veteran of streaming with 20,000 hours in, but at no point have I felt forced to do it, and at no point have I regretted doing it after. And I think that's because I'm doing something that I would do anyway. I would do all of these things in the back room on my own. I just pop on an audiobook. That's the only difference. And I wouldn't talk to myself as I did it. But yeah, like if I'm doing it, it is 100% because I want to. I'm just turning a camera on for that. And that helps a lot. There's no obligatory stuff. And I think it would be a very long time, before that pops up where, you eventually hit a part where it's like you have some kind of, sponsorship arrangement or something. You've promised them X number of streams a month and you got to get that. Yeah. That's maybe we'll be having that part of the conversation 1 year from now when we're doing the 2024 hopes and dreams. But it's not even a thought now. So I just get to do what I want to do and what I should be doing. There are a couple things. I worked on a leather gun belt that my parents found in the house that was on the site of the house they built. It had crumbled, fallen. It was extremely old. It was a teardown thing. And as they were tearing it down, they found this very old holster from the 1870s. And being able to sit down and give that the attention it deserved, to bring that leather back to life, that's great. I love that. And that's something that I wanted to do for a long time. Well, I finally got to do it. The fact that that other people got to hang out with me, and I got to hang out with them as I did it, made it a lot nicer. It's so much less solitary. I'm okay with solitary, more so than probably anybody I know. That's not a problem, but it was definitely cooler to just hang out with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So if you people listening, if you're going to do a thing anyway, maybe consider streaming while you do it, and it might, boost the enjoyment of it. I know. Oh man, Your Movie Sucks has this ethos to like an alarming degree. I don't know if you remember, but when we were talking to Adam, everything that he does, he's like, I might as well stream this. So that's why he has like all these different, like eating. Well, I'm going to eat anyway. I might as well do like a, what is that called? Mukbang. Yeah. Mukbang.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I might as well do a mukbang stream of me eating, my lunch. But the other thing that I wanted to extract from your experience is a little ethos that I think that people can use for any project, which is do it badly and then do it better. That was the exact path that you did on this streaming thing. You did it badly to see if you even liked doing it badly. That's really important. If you like doing something badly, well, guess what? You just found something that you like doing.
That's right.
And something that's worth investing in yourself to do it better. So you did it badly. You did it with crap equipment. The audio was janky. Yep. Who cares? Yep. You had to decide whether or not you like doing it at all, which you did. And now you've, upgrading some equipment. You're redoing your setup to do it better.
I want to point something out about that too. Do you know how easy it was to get the right setup because I'd been doing it badly? I knew exactly what I needed, and it took no time at all because I'd done it enough to understand that I needed X, Y, and Z. Like, I needed a mic arm that was not going to take up space on the desk. I needed a monitor that was elevated so that wouldn't take up space on the desk. I needed it to be a certain kind of range of motion because I would need to be able to position it and reposition it depending on what I was doing. This was all really clear to me because I'd spent 25 hours doing the thing. So at no point was I guessing. I wasn't thinking, maybe this would be useful. No, I knew exactly what I needed because I'd just plain done it. And wow, did I save a lot of time and probably a lot of money by not thinking about it. By doing it badly, it just revealed everything I needed. And, Kevin, I asked you a couple questions along the way. I asked John Swan a couple questions on the audio side. Generally, it was like, here's the list of stuff I need. Now, how cheaply can I get it? Mm-hmm. And just popped around the internet, finding the cheapest way to do it. But at no point was it difficult. It just wasn't. I'd revealed everything. And that is a major strength of just doing a thing, is that does the heavy lifting on figuring out how to improve it or how to really just get what you need. You can think about it all day and you're just not going to come up with the right solutions. You're just going to waste so much time and probably tons of money. So yeah, do it badly, because not only will you do it better later, but you'll know exactly what you need to do it better. But yeah, I enjoyed doing it when it was as janky as possible. If I hadn't, then I would have lost really nothing. No time, no money, and it wouldn't have been a big deal. But I did enjoy it, and it was clear on how to upgrade, so I just did it, and boom, I'm ready. We want to help you make something and mean something. And we say that phrase all the time because when you're making something and you know it means something, even if it's just to you, that's when you feel pretty good about what you're creating. The support for the Create Unknown in recent weeks has been incredible. Animators, artists, musicians, YouTubers, aspiring filmmakers, comedians, it is crazy how talented everybody in this community is. Consider joining the Create Unknown Patreon. Every dollar that comes through goes straight into the podcast and its community. That means more highlights videos. It means a big Minecraft project that's on the way. And eventually we'd like to manufacture custom piss bottles so you never have to leave your battle station. And being a patron unlocks participation in all of our live recordings. You've seen the roster of guests we've had. Having access to their minds is a unique opportunity. You can go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown or click the link that's in the description. Every little bit helps, and your support means absolutely everything to us. Patreon.com/thecreateunknown, links in the description. We appreciate you, Space Cowboys.
Here's something a little weird that I just thought of. And that is that I think that, oh man, how am I going to articulate this thought in my head? But I think that a lot of when people have regret, okay? I think perhaps here's one form of regret. One form of regret is spending a bunch of money on a thing that you don't even know if you like yet, and finding out you don't like it and you're not doing it. And then you're staring at this crap you just spent a bunch of money on that you just wasted because you're never going to use it again. And I have a perfect example, if that seems too conceptual. I thought I really wanted to snowboard. That seemed like an awesome thing to me. Snowboarding seemed really cool when I was a teenager. Seemed awesome. Okay. Like carving down the slopes really fast on a snowboard. I mean, look, I played Cool Borders on PS1. It was freaking sweet. So guess what? Snowboards are pretty expensive. I don't remember how much my snowboard cost that I bought, but between the board and the boots and, the whole shebang, bought the whole thing, bought the whole thing, the whole package, the whole Cool Borders Kevin package I bought and blew, we'll just say hundreds of dollars on. It might have been into more than that, but we'll just say I was
trillions.
It might have been $3 trillion on like a Burton snowboard and whatever Airwalk boots. I don't even remember. This is a long time ago. Okay, you can probably infer where this story is going. I did not turn out to be the next great snowboarder. It just was not a thing. I didn't really like anything about it. It just wasn't for me, and that's okay.
So you did it and didn't enjoy it?
I did it a bunch of times. Yeah, I joined like a ski club or whatever through school, and we went every week for, months throughout the winter. I don't remember. It was like every Saturday or something for several months.
I thought you were going to say you really never got around to it. I thought that's where it was going. It's like, yeah, you just didn't take on it. But no, so you actually did it repeatedly and it just wasn't your thing.
Yes, I really didn't like it. I didn't like anything about it. I just didn't find it fun. I wasn't any good at it. And I didn't like it enough to get better at it. I was just like, I don't like this. I went from not knowing anything about it, thinking I would like it, spending $1,200 or whatever it was on all this gear. Mm-hmm. And plus the whatever I spent on the lift tickets and everything going every week.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of money.
Yep.
And it got to the point where by the end of that season, I would just like hang out and like drink hot chocolate and talk to people in the lodge. I wouldn't even go at all. I wouldn't even go. I wouldn't even go on the slope. I'd just be like, I'm just going to hang out and treat this as like a social event.
Yeah.
And guess what? I would look at that snowboard that I bought with a huge amount of regret. And I was like, this was a really stupid way. The point of this is that this was a really stupid way to go about figuring out whether I even liked snowboarding. I should have just rented a board for
that would have made sense.
A month every, once a week, realized I didn't like it and saved myself $1,000.
Yeah. You also, maybe that's an okay way to play it, but you could have duct taped your sneakers to a cafeteria tray and seen if you enjoyed sliding down the hill with that. And if you did, okay, maybe it's time to do this for real. But Ben pointed out something really good in the chat about people buying, $1,000 guitar to learn on. And yeah, there's a little bit of justification with instruments sometimes because the resale can be so high that you're never, if you do it smartly, you're not really losing much. But it's the same thing. Like you need a minimum bit of quality. Like it can't be something that like hurts you very badly to do. It can't be so bad that it's something that kills. But really, nothing has to be any good at all. It just doesn't. And then you figure out, I really like snowboarding. I really like playing the guitar. I'll get something a little bit better. And then, you kind of climb up the ranks that way. I did it with bowling balls. I mean, as strange as it will sound to a lot of people, bowling balls have different surfaces and they do different things on the lane. And you start out with cheap ones that are made of, it used to be polyester. But they're basic, they're really, there's nothing to them. And when you can kind of control that, then you get something a little bit better. But if you go and drop $200 on a ball that you don't know how to use, what's the point? It's like getting some incredible sports car to like drop your kids off at school. Like this is not useful, and it's really just a weird ego move in your own head. But it's not useful for what you're trying to do. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of that just do it kind of thing. And Casey Neistat we talked to him about this many years ago, where he was one of the first people to do it. You like turn my phone on and boom, that's really it. And I'll deal with the result and then on to the next thing. Yeah, you can keep doing it like that, or you can, do the Nile Red thing and spend your $20 at Walmart and have fun with chemistry. And well, then maybe you ratchet up the complexity a little bit, but you just have to do the thing. Like stop thinking and just do a thing. That is, I'm going on a rant here, but that is the number one hurdle in this entire sector of creative stuff, and especially YouTube. You don't even need a great idea. Do you know how many people we interview who have stupid ideas for their channels and they're amazingly successful? We'll call some people out for being stupid. But like, think about Soup. Soup just goofs off on video games. That's not like high end, ideas that went through a committee and was carefully selected to be the winner. No, he goofed off with his friends in a way that other people could get a lot of entertainment out of. And then he kept doing it. That's it. Almost everybody. Look at Destin. Destin thought, wouldn't it be smarter every day? Wouldn't it be cool to show the world how weird this chicken head is? That the chicken's head stays in place even when I move its body. That's it. There's no grand plan for any production quality on that, any follow-ups, any master channel around it. Like, no, here's a cool chicken video I'm going to make. And then he made it. And then it was on to the next thing. It turned into a truly legendary career that has straight up improved the world. Mm-hmm. So yeah, stop thinking about things. Your idea is probably good. And if it's not, still won't matter. People will still very likely be into it to some degree. Just do your thing. Stop thinking and do your thing.
Well, yeah, and my point is do it badly and cheaply at first, and see if you even like it, because you might not. And I think that and
that's fair.
A lot of what people regret, at least in my life, I know the things that I've regret are the things like that snowboard, where I'm like, man, I just wasted a lot of money on that. I don't even like it. The guitar is a good example too. Don't unless you just really like the thing. If you really like the object and the idea of having it and collecting or whatever, like that's fine. That's its own separate thing. And that's totally cool and totally a valid reason to buy, specific whatever you're into, because that's like a different part of being into a thing, is also just, collecting and owning the thing. But if you're trying to figure out whether or not you like the thing, do it like Matt did with the streaming, where it's like, I'll just stream with whatever setup I have. And if it turns out I like this thing, well, then I'll get some better stuff. And guess what? This round of better stuff will be replaced if you get to the next level of liking the thing and want to do more with it. And that's sort of the natural progression with everything. The same with Destin and the cameras. Like he didn't start off with a slow-mo cam that shoots 30,000 frames per second. Like he worked his way up to that, after years of realizing that he's kind of into getting smarter every day and bringing along other people for the ride. Mm-hmm. So, and that's how most of this stuff works. Okay. Last thing that I have for 2023 is TCU stuff. And this also will get, so this will also sort of fit into like a little bit of a shadowy, mysterious bucket for now. But there are a couple of things that I can say about it. And one of the things that I'll say, sort of the way that I discussed expanding the Vsauce 2 platforms, is that let's start by saying what we expanded in 2022 with TCU, which is having regular weekly highlight videos uploaded on YouTube. That was a goal for 2022. I'm really happy with how we executed that. So those of you who don't go to YouTube and just listen on audio, you might not be familiar with this, but if you go to the YouTube channel, you will find a new highlight every single week. That's its own standalone video that's edited by itself, that has like clips from the creator and stuff like that. So that's one way that we expanded TCU in 2022. 2023, we'll see. There are seeds being planted to expand our operation a little bit. We'd like to make more content for sure. It's a matter of, how that comes to fruition. But there are feelers being put out right now to do more on the podcasting side. So, on top of Matt doing streaming through TCU on the Twitch, which is going to be happening in 2023 with more regularity with a new setup. Mm-hmm. We're also looking to do more in terms of the production side of just podcasting sort of writ large. So
that's right.
I kind of think that's all I could say for now on that, unless you have anything else.
No, we've had a good time with everybody for a few years now. And along the way, we've all gotten better at the things that we do. Both of us are more comfortable. We had a whole episode where I talked with Ben about his progression and where he's at. Just everything has progressed really nicely. And as it goes on, we just want to do more and more. And this goes back to that thing from months ago, how stupid it is. And there's a commercial that references this. I think it's a beer commercial that references that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Absolutely not. That is idiotic. That is that saying is a product of zilches and zeros who have done nothing. I have never heard a productive person say that in my entire life. And if somebody says it to you, they are telegraphing how useless they are. Keep that in mind. If somebody gives you that advice, you instantly know they're a zilch. Because the reality is, if you love what you do, you will constantly work, and you don't stop. An example of this is like the Tom Brady freakishness. I don't know what's going to make that man retire. He loves to play football.
Certainly not his family. That didn't work out.
No, that wasn't enough to do it. He's defied nature for quite some time. Very, very few things that were part of my life in college are still part of my life today. And one of them is Tom Brady's career. I wouldn't have put money on that in 2003. But anyway, you just keep grinding and you keep going, and there's always something.
And he's still in the playoffs. He's still in the playoffs.
He's great. Occasionally you get somebody who turns like 68 and decides it's time to slow down. Kevin, you and I were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis with this a while ago, where he announced that he kind of was, finished up a little bit on acting. It doesn't seem like he'll have any significant roles of any kind in the future, unless he changes his mind. And he's been one of the best in the history of both theater and movies. It's just everything. For how long? He's earned it. It's okay to slow down. Yeah, Ducky says Jim Carrey. You get that, and it's totally okay. But most people are working until they die. You know, Harrison Ford is all over my TV right now. He's like 80 years old. So right now I pop on Paramount Plus.
Real quick, I want to say that you hear all the time of people who stop working and then die, which is
true. Yeah.
Which is like
in all walks of life.
Yeah. No matter what it is people retire. They don't know what to do anymore and they just check out. So, I mean, it's like a mortal danger to stop, which is odd.
It is. Yeah. But I pop on Paramount Plus and the two faces that are all over it right now are Harrison Ford with 1923. He is 80 years old. And he's also on Twitter about 3 times a week trending for the new Indiana Jones stuff. He's 80 years old. And the other guy on all over is Sylvester Stallone with Tulsa King. And he's 76. You know, like this is what you do when you're really into something. And that's us. I mean, you know, it's not going to be exactly the same thing. I don't think if you're looking for Kevin Lieber to host Vsauce 2 videos until he is 76, I bet it won't happen. I bet that's probably not going to come true for you. Do I think when Kevin's 76, he's going to be sitting around with his VR chip that's implanted in his temple, just enjoying a new life? No, I don't think so. I think he's going to be doing something. I don't know what it is, but it's going to be something in the creative realm, and that will happen as long as he's capable of doing it. So yeah, we're just advancing. We're going to the next level on this stuff because we love it and we've gotten better at it. We're just more efficient. So yeah, that's just where the Create Unknown is headed, and we're really excited to go into details about that, about what's the specifics on Vsauce 2, because that's another part of that. Like, this is what it's like to be a creator thing that we can open up a window on, where, you know, most people, you just see the end result and you don't know how it happens or why. So that'll be good. I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I do like your hatred of that phrase, because no one ever pushes back on that. So that's why it's fun to hear you push back on that, because I think that what you're pushing back on is completely accurate. Like the sentiment, I get the sentiment. The sentiment is oh, you wake up and you just love what you do, rather than being, feeling compelled against your will to do the thing that you want to do. But you're right. Like there's plenty of, there's just plenty of, and I've talked about jobs that I've had in the past where, you show up, you do your job, you check out, and then you go do the thing that you want to do, whether it's hang out with your friends at the bar or draw potato cartoons because you're insane like me. You kind of have this like bifurcation to your day. Mm-hmm. Where you have like your work part and then like your me time. But everybody that we've ever talked to, if you've listened to this podcast, you understand that like part of the problem with this is that there is no me time. It's just everything is intermingled in this bizarre way. Yeah, right. Where it's kind of always work.
Yeah. It's always work and never work at the same time. There's the paradox in there. But what I really hate about that saying is the implication that working is undesirable. The implication that it's bad in some way. That like you wouldn't want to work every day of your life. If I could move stones every day of my life, it would be work, and I would love it. I hate it. Like, I literally hate this phrase on every level. I hate what it says because it's wrong, and I hate what it implies because that's wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Everything is bad about this.
And seems to serve no purpose. Like in like,
no,
who is it helping? Who is like, oh, okay. What is the point?
No, there isn't one. There isn't one. So the people who say that should be like that meme where the old man drags my computer into the recycle bin and then disappears. I hope all the people who say that phrase do that with themselves, that they somehow drag themselves into the trash of life and just disappear into thin air.
Oh, All right. Well, I think that covers it. Was there anything else that you had sort of top of mind? I will say that guest booking has commenced, so you can look forward to a fresh new round of guests. You can imagine that some of the people that I've already reached out to as return guests. But you can't imagine some of the ones that I have reached out to that aren't return guests. That will be fresh faces. So, and also, if there's anyone that you would like us to speak with, you can tweet it at us. You can join our Discord. We have a specific channel for guest recommendations on the Discord, but there's so many creators out there, and we can't know all of them. So, if there's someone who you think would be a fantastic person to probe mentally on the Create Unknown, shoot your shot. Let us know, because chances are we don't even know who they are. There's so many great creators. It's endlessly impossible almost to know them all.
It is.
So
yeah, we know like 1% of the best people now. Just because it's so big, it's impossible to know more than 1%. If somebody tells you they know a significant number, it's like grains of sand on a beach. You could walk all day and touch 0.00001% of them. Mm-hmm. And that's just on the surface. So no, give us suggestions, because we want to see new people too. Speaking of streaming, I was popping through the maker and crafter category on Twitch, which has some really cool stuff. And I sent you the thing, didn't I, Kevin, with the guy making hobo nickels? Did you see that?
No, but that sounds like something amazing. I would like to see.
Yeah, he just carves hobo nickels with like a really intricate setup and shows split screen things. Like he took quarters and carved a mask, like a COVID mask on George Washington. It's just really cool, the stuff that he pumps out.
Wait, what exactly are hobo nickels? What is the definition of a hobo nickel?
A hobo nickel is basically art on a coin. So you take an existing coin and then somehow alter it in an artistic way. And I think that the lore on that is it's something that hobos would give people as a little gift in exchange for, different things, maybe some food, something like that. But as you can guess, some were very crude and some were extremely intricate art. And this guy's crazy. Like, the stuff he pulls off is shocking that a human can do it. So yeah, I mean, if you just search Hobo Nickels Twitch, it's not like 80 channels are going to come up.
Not a deep category.
J Hobo. I'm going to link this in because it's really cool, and he sells some too, I think, on Etsy. But yeah, it's fantastic stuff. And that's somebody, like, I would have had no idea that guy existed, but I was just browsing around. So who knows how many creators are like that.
I don't know. I just love the idea of like ruining a coin in exchange for soup.
Yeah.
Well, I guess ruining is a harsh way of, but personalizing it, I guess, would be a nice way of putting it. Here's a personalized quarter. May I have some soup? Rather than just giving him the money, but I guess the money's not enough. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just trying to understand the thought process here. I think I need to read more about this lore.
And I think when you're a hobo and you're riding the rails, there's a lot of time to do stuff like intricate carvings of coins.
Right.
It's a good fit for the hobo inside of you. That's it. That's really what this podcast is about, is cultivating the hobo inside you. That's what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, the extent of my hobo knowledge really comes from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when he's riding the rails with that guy singing, the guy who sings Jimmy Crack Corn and I Don't Care over and over and over again until Pee-wee goes insane and jumps off the train.
That's right. I got to say, this is one of those things where I'll probably never have the opportunity to mention this, but it's, you don't have a whole lot of hobo stories in life, but one of them is how funny it is to me when I'm in an Eastern European country when you walk down like Main Street, or well, whatever they call the main street in, Romania or something. But stores, almost all of them have hobo in the window. It's the funniest thing in the world to me to walk around, and there's a big sign that says hobo in the window of almost every store, because in the Cyrillic alphabet, the N is expressed by H, and V is usually B. So it's really novo. You're saying, you're not pronouncing it hobo, you're pronouncing it novo. And so new, this is the new stuff. Like, this is what's on sale. So obviously every store is going to have, signs that point out their new stock and their sales and all that stuff. But to somebody reading that in English as you walk by, it's like, here's the hobo store. And I never got tired of laughing at that. It's the most like ignorant, dumb thing in the world. But I'm like, wow, Bulgaria is just filled with hobo stores. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, it's the little things in life that you can entertain yourself with, like hobo store signs in Romania.
That's right.
All right. So we have big plans for 2023. I hope that this discussion on that filled you in on what we're up to, and perhaps, gave you a little bit of motivation to recalibrate what it is that you will be up to in this new year. What did we call it earlier? Not a resolution, I forgot already. But man, I don't remember at all.
GRINDolution.
Yeah, GRINDolution. Yeah.
GRINDolution.
What is your GRINDolution for 2023? Let's hear them.
And I do want to say that I want to go in on to something on streams in coming weeks, on the philosophy that undergirds all of these things, which I'm going to drop the name with no explanation. It's just, I think of it as, I want to hurt, hate, and be happy. That's how everything, it all falls under that category. And I want to go in the details of that on streams as I'm doing some of the things that hurt. But that little bit about hating that stupid pseudo advice, which reminded me, what was that Morgan Freeman quote that we did an episode on? That sucked.
Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I remember doing an episode on it and hating it, but I don't remember what it was. The Morgan Freeman
hopefully
advice.
Somebody in the chat will.
That was one of our
specifics
earliest episodes.
Yeah, it was just too long ago for me to recall the details on it. But no, what I love about the hurt, hate, and be happy is that I think almost everybody lives that way, with like the wrong definitions of what each word actually means. And Boss Threads has it exactly right. Hurt, hate, and be happy is my version of live, laugh, love. Live, laugh, love is stupid too. Everything is bad. Live, laugh. Number one, live. What is the alternative to that? What's the valid option other than live? There really is only one, and it's not great. If you choose the other option, the not live, there's no laughing and loving. So even the structure of live, laugh, love is stupid. All of this is bad.
Oh, I got the advice. I got the Morgan Freeman advice.
Oh, you did? What is it?
It was, don't take criticism from people you wouldn't go to for advice.
That is right. Yeah. No, that's probably even much more destructive. At least, it's just a goofy sentiment that, work a day in your life thing. Whereas the Morgan Freeman quote, that actually is harmful to what people do.
Yeah.
Which is why that was worth a full episode, and this was worth like a 30-second rant. But yeah, I'm really excited to go to really flesh out the details of hurt, hate, and be happy, because it's actually a really healthy, positive way of looking at stuff. People who popped in before we hit the record button know that hurting is happening today. Well, I just maxed out physically yesterday on working at my parents' house, and I felt great waking up and hurting for that reason. So yeah, if you want to go like hurt puppies and kittens, no. That's the wrong translation of the hurt in that sentence. It's not about that. Do things that make you hurt. So we will, I just want to flesh that out more. That's the kind of thing that, we fill minutes in the stream about. So we'll pop a link to the Twitch in the episode notes.
Wait, what wasn't, didn't John Cougar Mellencamp have a Hurt So Good song?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he did.
John Mellencamp, Hurt So Good. That's the hurt you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hurt So Good.
It is. It is. And also it comes from risking and blowing it. You know, like there's that element of safety where if you don't ever put yourself in a position to fail, to get shot down, to get, you know, like if the best way to never be broken up with, never be dumped is to never once get in a relationship. Like that's not great. You know, so if there's anything that hurts physically or makes you feel bad, something is happening in your life, and that's a good thing. And if you're not hurting on multiple levels, you're probably just not doing anything at all.
All right. Well, I like that. I look forward to hearing more about it on the streams. So yeah, so that's one actionable thing that you can look forward to and be a part of right now, which is following the Create Unknown on Twitch. So you can be notified of when Matt goes live, which will be happening with regularity now that the new setup is in place. So that's really exciting. And then otherwise, you can look forward to guest announcements, which will start rolling in. You can look forward to a new Vsauce 2 announcement in the next weeks-ish. We'll see. And then also what may become a TCU expansion in 2023, but that will not be weeks-ish. We'll see. We'll see if and how that unfolds over the coming months. But we will be back next week. So join us for TCU's Day next week. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/thecreateunknown if you want to help out this podcast. And otherwise, we'll see you next Tuesday. We'll see you, Space Cowboys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We make this show with the support of our patrons. 100% of that goes directly to keeping episodes going every week, and the recent support has been amazing. Sidpoke, NRM, Venture Addicts, Weezer Good, you all really do make this show happen. Thank you to the Tots and Dumpster crew, old and new, who save tiny little lives every month. Thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry. Clemente de los Santos, Dan the Latch, Demetrius Andrews, Erica, Farrakhan, Jen Mefasanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Monahim, Natsu, Penny Peddler, Risebread, Ryan Kinder, Samuel Manser, Sean S., Sean Malone, and Tom Vidioger. And a tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang commanders: Atrocious Guff, Kat, Dojangles, Graham Robertson, James Gallagher, Jeff Davis, Orange Vanilla Coke, Patrick Pister, TCU's personal pilot, Andy, Ryan Carroll, Baseweight, Vinthos, Yeetus Deletus, Jonas Walter, Nathan Robinson, Jelxies, and of course, Trevstead. You are the elite. Thank you as well to our indentured servants, producer-editor Ben Webster, Minecraft mogul Laterman, Discord kitten wrangler Conrad, and producer emeritus Dan Yoshua. Thanks to Baseweight for use of Created in the Unknown for the opening theme. Thanks to Electro Voice for giving us mics to sound good on top of it. And a special thanks to Main Gear for powering all of our PC endeavors. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production in partnership with Studio 71.